I did it. I finally did it. I got all 100 endings in this godforsaken game. I did all the free time events too. 190 hours, that's how long it took me. How do I feel about it? I want to kill myself. I'm just exhausted, if I'm being honest, but if I'm going to be ranking every single character in this game fairly, I had to make sure I saw every single scenario play out. Even the dumb ones, the routes that serve no purpose whatsoever. God damn you, Kodaka. In addition to this video, I'm also working on another tier list for all the different routes and endings that 100 Line has to offer, so make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that. We're doing characters now though. Now you might be asking, how exactly am I judging these guys? Am I basing my rankings on how likable they are as people or how enjoyable they are as characters? It's a mix of both, alright? So just because someone just so happens to be an absolute sweetheart doesn't mean I'll rank them over the insane masked murderer with a tragic backstory, and vice versa. As for the tiers, you know how this works. If someone's in D tier, please delete them from the game. They either hold no value or actively piss me off. C tier means they disappointed me, I wanted more from them. B tier, they're so-and-so, they have their moments, I guess. A tier, they're fairly entertaining. S tier means they're integral to the experience. Without the guys in S tier, the game might as well not exist. I'm gonna limit this to just the members of the Special Defense Unit, by the way, so no Sire, no Nigo, no Shion. Let's begin. But beware of spoilers, by the way. And to nobody's surprise, all the way in last place, I got this dickhead, Ima Tsukumo.
Nobody cares!
He wasn't always in last place, believe it or not, but he just becomes more and more dislikable as the game goes on, so now this placement only makes sense. He's creepy, lazy, ungrateful, but he's a little shit, basically. It's like if you're not going to contribute to the team effort, at least have some humility, like goddamn. And I hate the fact that he looks like Kokichi. He's like one of my favorite Danganronpa characters ever. There is the fun kind of little shit like Kokichi or Dio from Zero Escape, but Ima's just a piece of shit. He's especially intolerable once we get access to the multiple routes. It's like, no matter what decision we end up making, no matter what route we go down, oh, don't you worry, Ima's always there to put the blame on Takumi when things go wrong for some reason, because the game says so. Fuck you, Ima. This is hardly a hot take. They intentionally made Ima insufferable, and surprise, surprise, I can't stand the guy, so good job, I guess. The thing about Ima is he's lacking in any real charisma to make up for us having to deal with his bullshit. Best thing I can say about him is that he does at least keep us on our toes. We don't know what crazy bullshit he's gonna try next, so he gives the game some much needed tension. Like, say, stabbing Takemaru, and reminder that it just so happened to be Takemaru he stabbed, the big buff guy. He would have stabbed anybody at the time, even the girls, but they just let it go because, it's Takemaru, he's a big guy, he can handle it. No, that's not how it works, you stabbed somebody. Now, I'm going to try to recall the single best and worst moments for every character. So, Ima's worst moment, I would say, is him kind of being the ringleader that turned everyone against Takumi after he dealt with Eito. Ima was just so insufferable throughout the entire upper half of the flowchart.
You're cursed! Do us all a favor and get out of here!
As for his best moment, I'm not gonna lie, telling Siri to essentially shut the fuck up that one time was actually pretty based.
No! You don't have that kind of time! Quick, before he hears—
Shut up, if you would.
But this one moment isn't gonna be enough to undo all the creepy-ass comments he's made towards Kako. And just when I was beginning to get over his weird little obsession with his sister, he goes and pulls this.
I hope we get to be twins again. I'd be more than open to being lovers, too.
A creep until the end, huh, Ima? Eat shit and die, you obnoxious little parasite. The next douchebag in line is Gaku Maruko.
Whoa!
We always gotta have the perverted buddy character in these games. Gaku's the worst one by far. Selfish, rude, unfunny, that's the big one for me. I said the same thing about Shinigami and Raincode. If you're going to make a character with zero redeeming qualities, at least make them funny. Miu is a great example of this. If they're not funny, they're just annoying. I'm genuinely struggling to think of a single redeeming quality. Sure, the game wants to highlight that he's a mood maker or some shit, like he's the one who comes up with the group activities like the festival, the barbecue, the swimming, but whatever. But ultimately, it's not like he did it out of the kindness of his heart. No, he just wanted to have a good time. And even though the game tries to convince us that he lives for his family and would die for his family, For the entire time I've known him, he's been nothing but selfish. He wanted to burn Futurum to the ground even after finding out that normal people lived there. He blamed Ava for defending herself against Shouma like she was just supposed to stand there and let the guy kill her. And as soon as tragedy strikes, his first course of action is always to blame the people around him. The cowardice he showed toward deciding the fate of Futurum is absolutely his worst moment. As for his best moment, none. Genuinely, I can't think of a single moment where I was like, hell yeah, Gaku, nice one. I guess he did manage to one-up Dal Shah that one time, so that's something, I guess. The few times he actually tries being sincere are always short-lived because he always ends up doing or saying something incredibly stupid immediately after. Gaku just fucking sucks, man. Actually, wait, I just remembered his best moment. Him skipping 10 days of the shitty-ass comedy route teaching us about lesbians or some shit. It was dumb, but he cut my suffering short, so good on you for that, Gaku. Thanks, I guess.
Yeah, boy!
Number 14 is Kyoshika Magadori. Unlike the last two, I don't exactly hate Kyoshika. She's just like really boring and annoying sometimes. I do absolutely hate her monkey-brained way of thinking, like commander is enemy, therefore kill and massacre them without mercy even if they're begging for their lives. I don't have a lot to say about her. She's kind of a nothing character, as one-dimensional as characters get. All she does is bang her sword, make anime references, and be dumb as fuck.
The only thing I have going for me is my naivete and my slight perversion.
Her worst moment, in my opinion, is her during the killing game route, where she just constantly blames Takumi for Kurara's death. I get it, she's on edge, she lost a friend, but I just hate people whose immediate reaction is to put the blame on somebody as soon as tragedy strikes. It's like, really? Is now really the time for this? As for main story relevance, she's basically just a plot device to get Nozomi and Kurara to stop bickering in the main route by sacrificing herself. And I do think her volunteering to sacrifice herself is her best moment. She did the same thing in the zombie route, which actually made me tear up a bit, believe it or not. So salute to her for that. You did well, soldier. Rest in peace. I won't say we won't forget you, because I absolutely will. Number 13 is Moko Mojiro. Like Kyoshika, she's a nothing character, the very epitome of a one-dimensional character, in fact. All she does is make ironic comments and struggle to come up with as many wrestling references as possible before the game ends. Besides that, she doesn't really give me much to work with. She was in last place at some point, by the way. It's just that Gaku and Ima kept getting on my nerves more and more, and ultimately it landed her here. And after proving that she was also willing to sacrifice herself for the good of the team, there was no reason to keep her under Kyoshika. Besides, she's got a cooler head and isn't a complete asshole for no reason. Most of the times. She was tweaking the fuck out in that one ending. That was probably her worst moment, besides subjecting us to the horrors that is the romance route, of course. Also, the way she just resorts to violence without understanding the situation in the comedy route was also just really annoying. Her best moment, I believe, is her retrieving Kyoshika's sword bag as a memento after her death. That was a really nice and cute thing to do. By the way, according to her, she's apparently friends with Sakura Ogami from the first Danganronpa. Too bad she isn't even half the character Sakura was.
I burned hot, and now I'm burned out!
We're now up to the C tiers, and up first we got Kurara Oosuzuki, our resident tsundere. And our first somewhat fleshed out character thus far. That doesn't mean I like her though, this girl's straight up evil. She's one of the people who insisted on launching the missiles into Futurum despite knowing about their history, and that in itself is a red flag. But like, her comments on that plot point in particular were just straight up evil. Although in her eyes, it doesn't seem like she places much value in individual lives, like calling death tolls mere statistics not to concern ourselves over.
People don't become ghosts when they die. They become statistics. Just neat, tidy numbers to be counted and categorized as needed.
But that, to me, is just a cover-up. It's just another persona she's putting on alongside the mask. She is clearly very disturbed when the people around her die. Even fucking Gaku. I think her worst moment, and the moment I lost all hope in Kurara as a character, was her beating Takumi up for quote-unquote letting Nozomi die, even though he had nothing to do with the fact. And even if he did, imagine beating the shit out of somebody who just lost a loved one. Like, what the fuck, Kurara? That was the moment she went on my shit list. She used to be a lot higher on this list. On a lighter note, I also hate the fact that she accuses every guy she sees as being a creep or a perv. She's essentially another Tenko, and I just hate that trope so much. It gets old really quickly. I also despise it when people are just incapable of listening to reason, just being very stubbornly adamant about not hearing somebody out. So annoying. Well, one of the worst traits a person can have. I'm talking about the whole thing with Nozomi. Also, on that note, I want Nozomi to hear this too. Can you not set your petty squabbles aside when you're in the middle of a life or death battle? Like, dear God, do you really want to play Koei now of all times? My God, do I hate these characters so much. If this was an actual killing game, I'd kill half the people in this room. The romance through it did actually make me appreciate Kurara a tiny bit more, and I mean a really, really teeny tiny bit more. She's at least showing that she can be really cute if she wants to be, and it did break my heart a little having to turn her down. As for her best moment, I don't know, maybe it's when she took on a horde of zombies all by herself. I can't put her in the D tier after that. Lollipop Chainsaw's getting a sequel and it's called Tomato Buzzsaw.
I'll kill you! I'll kill all of you! I'll kill you! And you! And you! And every last one of you!
Up next is Kako Tsukumo. Kako's really sweet, but her biggest setback is her character being tied to Ima's character. For the longest time, we don't get to know anything about her because her creepy-ass brother stalks her like a hawk. But even when Ima does let up, there wasn't much to sink her teeth into anyway. She's just psychic for some reason, and she likes playing detective. That's it. I do always find myself agreeing with everything she says though, especially in the main route. Everybody would be having these dumbass back and forths, and then she would just stick her head in every now and then and say exactly what's been on my mind. She's a very reasonable character, most of the time. Yeah, sometimes she just goes unhinged and blows the lid for absolutely no reason. That's also where her worst moment comes in. When we're still discussing whether or not it's moral to kill Eva or not, she just blindsides her and kills her anyway, just as we were giving her hope that she might get to keep her life. What the hell, that was just so unnecessarily cruel for no reason. That wasn't the only time either. She for some reason gets really enthusiastic about killing Eva in multiple routes. Like, bitch, what is your problem?
If you won't kill her, I'll do it myself.
She was also a part of the I Hate Takumi club in the killing game route.
You're more than cursed. You're the Grim Reaper!
Although, honestly, I get the feeling that was more Ima and Takemaru's influence on her. She's normally much kinder than that. Speaking of Takemaru, number 10 is Takemaru Yakushiji. Now, I'm gonna put Takemaru in the A tier for a bit. This will make sense in a second. I do realize that he's the stereotypical punk with a heart of gold. We get characters like this all the time. Yet I can't help but be gravitated towards them every single time. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, bro, you're not replacing Nekomaru anytime soon. Don't even try. But somehow, he was still one of my favorite characters upon starting the game. My favorite thing about him is how he's always the first one to defend someone's honor, even if that someone happens to be Ima. I just love this line so much. Ima might be a jerk, but he's our jerk. I don't agree with the sentiment, of course, but that way of thinking is just so endearing. He also quickly defends Gaku when Sirius starts talking shit about his death, with no concerns for his own safety.
If you keep trashing my bro Gaku, then you better go ahead and kill me.
I was especially tickled to find that he likes Hiruko despite all the bickering, and his best moment, I think, is when Hiruko finally acknowledges him for once and he starts fucking crying. Cutest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, hell yeah! We gotta have guts! And we gotta have glory!
At 100% power level, Takemaru is actually able to access the morphogenetic field and acquire information from other timelines. At least I think he does, because how else would he casually mention Shion's name when we haven't even named him in this timeline yet? This is my favorite typo of all time. He even wanted to stop the war once we found out who the actual invaders were, so it's looking good for Takemaru, right? Wrong. So very wrong. Get back down here, you garbage excuse for a human being. Takemaru's problem is he flip-flops between being a cool guy and a judgmental piece of shit who jumps to conclusions at a drop of a hat. I noticed this first in the coming of age route where everybody started suspecting Nozomi and Takumi and accusing them of siding with the enemy, and I was expecting Takemaru to have our backs, but nah, he did a complete 180 out of nowhere. And by the time we got to the killing game route, he isn't even the same person anymore.
You're like the Grim Reaper. Nothing good ever comes from being around you.
This route really brought out the worst in him. I genuinely can't look at Takemaru the same way anymore. Even in other routes, when he was brutally murdered, I just looked at his corpse and went, yep, don't care. You were already dead to me anyway. You see, a big thing for me is when you're a big strong man with giant muscles, which I aspire to be one day, I expect you to handle those muscles responsibly. Great power, great responsibility and all that. So when you use that same power to try to murder two helpless women, all you are is a disgusting monster and I hope you die. Which you did. Not placing you any higher than a C tier. What a disappointment he turned out to be.
What a fucking letdown.
Next in line, Shouma Ginzaki. God damn it, did I want more from Shouma because I actually liked him a lot.
What are you doing?
But genuinely, there isn't even a hint of depth to his character. He's just a walking inferiority complex. The only noteworthy revelation I made with this guy is that even his pet dog, who he believes is the only one who cares for him and is best friends with, doesn't even like him either.
Leo always makes me laugh. When we go on walks together, he runs away at top speed the moment I relax his leash. I then carry him back, but he bites me when I touch him and pees on my face when I'm asleep. Oh, that's just how we poke fun at each other. We're best buds, really.
Not gonna lie, I busted out laughing when that came up, as horrible as it is. He was one of my favorites in the first loop. My favorite moment of his was the resolution with his bat with Kurara, winning and then demanding that they be friends instead of anything nefarious. It was a very inspiring moment. To all the assholes in the world, take notes from Shouma. Be like Shouma. He was also the only one to ever show compassion to Eva. That's a good thing for Shouma and more of a what the fuck is wrong with everybody else kind of thing. As for negatives, I really hate the fact that they made him be the one to suggest killing Eva just to regain his memories. It kind of goes against everything we've come to know about his character. So again, like most of these characters thus far, I like their concepts, but they're just very poorly written. Like, you want me to believe that Shouma, this little man you see before you, with everything we've come to know about him thus far, was courageous enough to stab himself multiple times just to throw a wrench into our investigation. Yeah, that's a bit far-fetched. His worst moment was trying to protect the murderous doll even after seeing it slaughter Moko, just because he likes small animals. Like, what the fuck, come on man. He disappointed me, but hey, if he was watching this video, he'd just be happy he wasn't in last place. So you're welcome, Shouma. You get your C tier.
You're giving something so awesome to useless bug poop like me?
Next up is Nozomi Kirifuji. Hey, look at that. We finally reached the characters that I actually somewhat enjoy.
Let's win this last fight no matter what, okay?
Nozomi is very kind, very cute, brave, all the good qualities you'd want in a person. But let's be real, most of the time, she's kind of boring. And not all the time though. I mentioned how brave she is. I definitely think that she shines the most and steals the spotlight when she gets the chance to display her bravery. Like attempting to fight Vashnes on her own once the others get captured, and even after they single her out. She willingly drank poison and let herself be absorbed by a commander just to save her allies. She got bloodied and battered, defending Eva from Takemaru, Ima, and Kako. And speaking of Eva, by the way, once Nozomi got access to Eva's memories, that immediately convinced her to stop fighting. Good on you, girl. Even though she was the one always saying that we had to win this war no matter what, she didn't let that cloud her judgment. But honestly, her best moment, in my opinion, has nothing to do with bravery. My favorite Nozomi moment was her essentially telling humanity, the people urging us to partake in this evil, murderous plan to kill everyone on this foreign planet, to shut the fuck up and shove it up their asses.
What do those people on the satellite know about sacrifice? About
hardship. They've pushed it all onto these guys instead.
That was one of my favorite scenes in this whole game. If I had to think of a negative quality, I'd say Nozomi tends to jump to conclusions fairly quickly. Like when her secret gets passed around, she just assumes it was Takumi who did it and doesn't give him room to explain himself. This happens multiple times too, and even before that, she's quick to give Takumi the cold shoulder all because of a little mistaken identity. It's weird. She often lets her emotions get the better of her to the point where her brain just ceases to function. But for every time she fucks up, she always redeems herself and apologizes almost immediately after. Not a lot of people have the strength to admit when they're wrong, so I gotta give her credit for that at least. So yeah, I like Nozomi, not as much as the game was hoping I would, not enough to let her devour Kyoshika, why the fuck was that even an option, but just enough for her to tower over these other disappointments.
Stop it. I won't let you hurt my friends anymore.
At number 7, I got Darumi Amemiya. Now, I've met the Special Defense Unit 2 months ago when I started playing this game. But Darumi, I met Darumi a year ago, because her design stood out so much. She's literally the only one I remember from that first trailer. Does her character live up to her design? Let's forget about the Red Snow route for a second, because legit, that's the only route where Darumi is an actual character.
I'm telling you, I'm fine. These are delicious.
If that route didn't exist, Darumi would be sitting right next to Kyoshika and Moko. So let's tackle that part of her first. A part of her we have to deal with 90% of the time. Now, I went into this game expecting Darumi to be my favorite. I think most of us did. But honestly, I kind of forgot she existed half the time. She serves no purpose. When Vashnis killed her off screen and Ima asked me if I forgot someone, yes, I did indeed forget someone. The crazy girl who makes meta jokes is a fun archetype for about 5 minutes, but if that's all she has to offer, then why? That's all I have to say, why? That was kind of my attitude towards Darumi for a solid chunk of the game, and for the first 50 or so endings that I got, Darumi had already been killed off, so she didn't even get the chance to change my mind. That is, until I went all the way back to day 7 and saved her life. To which I'm greeted with this.
I wanted to say thanks for saving me.
I don't know why, but those words hit me like a truck. It is due to happenstance. Maybe you wouldn't feel the same way if you got this route way earlier, but to me, this is Darumi's best moment. Finally getting an actual tender and serious moment with her after 80 plus hours of playing this game, and either her not being there or her being one-dimensional. I love Darumi so much more in this route. She's such a little buddy.
Yeah! Go, Takumi!
She's a team player, she's positive, she puts others before herself, gives great advice, and I just love people who know what they are. People who don't care if they're dumb or if other people point that out. She's like, yeah, I'm a dumbass. What can you do? Take notes, fucking Kurara. Darumi can actually be the kindest person out of all of these characters, but the thing about her is she wants people to hate her, hence the constant act she's putting on. A mentality I can't quite understand. So she'd only go out of her way to do kind acts provided that nobody knows she's the one behind them. At least that's my analysis of her actions during the Red Snow ending, which still confused me to this day, by the way. If someone can explain her reasoning for tricking Takumi into killing her, please leave a comment. I'd be very grateful. So yeah, Darumi, you're great, but I can't put you any higher than a B tier because you were genuinely annoying for the majority of this experience, even if it was technically just an act.
Don't wash that meat when we get sweet.
Talk like a normal person.
At number 6, I've got our protagonist, Takumi Sumino. Okay, so Takumi is kind of a wild card here because his personality is somewhat dependent on the choices we as the players make. He can be a hero, he can be goofy, he can be dumb. And the game lets us make some pretty monstrous decisions sometimes, so what does that say about Takumi? Should I be taking every version of him into account when rating him? Obviously, a serious brainwashing version of him doesn't count, so let's forget about that. But what about the Cult of Takumi route, where he willingly took advantage of the brainwashed Nozomi? Was that actually Takumi doing that? I don't know. It's weird to me that someone as kind, as brave, as caring as Takumi is shown to be could stoop to such disgusting lows. His character is just kind of a mess, if I'm being honest, so I don't want to place him too high or too low. I'll keep him right in the middle. Sometimes he can be really cool, like that one time he had Hiruko chop him in half so he can sacrifice himself and still be able to be revived because his legs got left behind. Like, who comes up with an idea like that? But other times, he could be completely selfish and blatantly agree to killing an entire planet. Which, if that's the canon Takumi, by the way, I hate that so much. He uses the excuse, this is war, multiple times to get away with doing horrendous acts. He and the others were all okay with killing a bunch of Futuriums, by the way, but only when humanity's satellite is destroyed, only then do they think, maybe we shouldn't genocide an entire planet, like that's somehow a noble thing. Shut the hell up, man. You were into it the entire time. So on a Kodaka protagonist scale, I guess, I much prefer him over Yuma and Makoto, but I don't think I like him as much as Hajime, though. I think he's just about on par with the V3 protagonist. Honestly, the best thing about Takumi is his line delivery. His voice actor is amazing.
What are those?
So, Takumi, you were not a great protagonist.
Can't I just get through a simple introduction without you criticizing me?
But thanks for making me laugh a lot, I guess. You're staying in the B tier where you belong, though.
You have got to be kidding me!
We're finally moving on to the A tiers, the few characters I actually really like. And up first is Yugamu Omokage. Not only is he one of the few smart people in this group who think ahead and led us to victory multiple times thanks to his concoctions, he's also really funny. He quickly became one of my favorites doing the killing game route. He even outsmarted the sponsor and led us to victory then too. Not to mention, he was one of the few to stand up to serious bullshit. Those were all great moments. My favorite though is this.
Wait here while I go grab the gamma feel.
What's that?
A powerful anesthetic. We have some in the biolab.
Absolute Giga Chad Yugamu, knocking Ima's ass out before he becomes a pain in the ass again. Worst thing he's done is absolutely making the drugs that led to the cult ending. Fuck you for subjecting me to that, you piece of shit. But on a more serious note, it's probably pretending to be a serial killer when there's an actual killer on the loose. Like, brother, is now really the time for this? Okay, here's my thoughts on the whole I get horny for murder thing. I think he's putting on an act, at least in the main route. He bounces between, I love you all so much, I want to kill the shit out of you, to, man, I just don't want to do this shit anymore.
I want to be the one to kill each and every one of you cuties. This means I don't have to kill against my will anymore. In fact, I don't have to kill anyone. Period.
And personally, I want to believe that his final words convey his true feelings.
I want to live a quiet, peaceful life without ever needing to kill anyone.
Does he commit incredibly stupid actions sometimes? Absolutely. But it doesn't change the fact that he brought me more joy than half the people in this stupid ass game.
If you can't help me out, I really might have to kill someone.
My number 4 is female Byakuya, Hiruko Shizuhara. Arguably the most crucial character in this whole game, she's the only one besides Takumi who knows about the other timelines. In fact, she's been through 40 years worth of loops, way longer than we have. She's essentially a 16-year-old with the mind of a 60-year-old, and I don't need to tell you how much an adult's wisdom is needed in a cast dominated by teenagers. It's weird with Hiruko. I spent the first 100 days of this game with a certain impression of her. Then on my second run, I hear this.
For me? I see. Thank you. This makes me happy.
Thanks? She said thanks? You're not Hiruko, who are you? Her most memorable moment to me is the first time she admitted that she does in fact care about the others, she just doesn't like to show it. Because after that singular line, Hiruko went from stuck-up wench to troubled, caring, yet stern leader. My favorite moment of hers has got to be when everyone was being dumb, saying stuff like, let's let Eito out of his cage, he's not gonna hurt anyone. Then Hiruko comes in with the save and goes, listen, if you let this bitch out, I'm gonna kill him, then I'm gonna kill myself. How's that for compassion? She's actually very similar to Yugamu in the sense that, on one hand, she says,
tearing the invaders apart is so very stimulating.
But on the other hand, she also says,
Now, finally, I don't have to fight anymore.
I've never flip-flopped on a character this much. I hated her guts at first, I hated her attitude towards Takemaru, never thought I'd have her in the A tier and Takemaru in the C tier by the end of this. Then that scene at the pool happens and I ease up on her. She then becomes my stern but reliable assistant leader come the second loop. Then I get her final free time event, which was really weird and uncomfortable. Not the fact that she wants multiple husbands, who am I to tell her what to do? But after telling us that, she's like, would you like to be a part of my harem? Girl, no. Who raised you? She also insisted on continuing to fight even after learning that we were the invaders here. Then she gives me a break and says something somewhat sensible in between. Then she goes back into full dum-dum mode and somehow lets Eito mess with her head for a second time. It's like, girl, what are you doing? You're supposed to be the smart one. Another example of people just acting completely out of character for the sake of variety between the different routes. It's such bullshit writing. I hate it so much. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff about Hiruko that I just don't jive with, but I can't deny that she's one of the few characters in this game that has a presence to them. When Hiruko enters the room, you know shit's about to get real, and that's a sign of a great character. And hell, because she's such a hard ass most of the times, it makes the few moments she does break character hit that much harder. At number 3, I've got Eva. Eva was actually my favorite character at some point, but her lack of screen time holds her back a bit. Eva's such a breath of fresh air from the other characters. I mean, she's a resident of Futurum, an alien planet. They got their own culture and customs. That alone makes her far more interesting than anybody else here. She's also the most level-headed of the bunch. She's reasonable, caring, like a normal person, all things considered, which is very much needed in a game like this, where most characters are walking tropes. Seriously, for a character that gets the lowest screen time out of everyone, she's the only one that doesn't have to rely on some stupid shtick to make her who she is. Kinda sad that we don't get to spend a lot of time with the actual Eva, because 80% of the time she's just a mindless robot. It's like Syria went, what's that? We got an actual engaging character in this game? Nope, can't have that. Click. But even when she's brainwashed, her kindness still shines through. Even as a ghost, she's still the kindest soul amongst this cast. And at the very least, her brainwashing didn't delete her sense of humor.
I guess you could say that Quenzele has been quenzeled.
But I don't think I've ever felt so bad for a video game character in all my life. Even just seeing her attempt to break free from her brainwashing to no avail, it just breaks my heart. The way everybody blamed her for defending herself against Shouma was also just incredibly disturbing. Like, it's just straight up racism, essentially saying that she doesn't have the right to defend herself against humans. Fuck off, guys. That includes you too, Yugamu. Her best moment is the entirety of the Eva brute. It's funny how just one conversation with Eva and I was ready to say good riddance to the rest of this stupid cast and side with her instead.
You're late. You ought to consider how I feel, waiting for you all alone.
This one conversation with Eva was more engaging than anything this game's thrown at me thus far. Also, let's not forget, she killed Ima that one time. So that's a thumbs up from me, Queen. Feel free to murder the rest of these guys while you're at it. Okay, I wasn't being serious. Yeah, that right there, that's her worst moment. Like, that was so out of character. I'm gonna forget that ever happened. So yeah, this is my message to Kudaka. Kudaka, if you're listening. If this game gets more DLC routes, which I already know you've confirmed, please, for the love of God, make them be kinder to Eva. Please, she deserves better.
Your wish is my command.
And my number 2 favorite character in this game, still in the A tier by the way, is Tsubasa Kawana. Yes, I realize that Tsubasa isn't this deep, complex character, even I don't have a lot to say about her, but I'm just following my heart, and my heart is saying that Tsubasa is top-notch. Someone could ask me why I like Tsubasa so much, and I'd just be like, she's nice. She's also incredibly handy. She saved our asses multiple times. She's like the female Kazuichi minus the creepazoid factor. Tsubasa was already pretty high on my list, but the killing game route, that knocked her up by a lot.
Anyone who dares to hurt him is going to have to answer to me.
In a way, Tsubasa is living proof that making a character who is as close to a normal person as possible is much more effective than making someone with quirks in a desperate attempt to make them entertaining. She's got the barfing thing, but that's less a quirk and more something she's trying to overcome. She is also one of the few to quickly acknowledge that the commanders are people too, which, thank you. I don't know why it's so hard to just not be racist in this game. And of course, because she's such a kind character, they made sure to kill her off multiple times. And every time she gets killed, which happens too many times to count, I just think, fuck you, Kodaka, you're doing this on purpose. In that same line of thinking, if you're someone who chose to have her be the one to sacrifice herself as your first option, you're dead to me. And I'm pretty sure you're a psychopath. Now, her worst moment, none. I'm serious. Tsubasa's never had a moment where I'm like, the fuck was that? She always acts in line with her character, which should be the standard, but this game's all kinds of fucked up. Sorry I keep bringing this up, but I love this game a lot, but it's just exhausting to deal with sometimes. So Tsubasa, thank you for making it slightly easier for me to get through this game.
Guys, you can talk about music later! We're in the middle of a battle here!
And of course, number one is Eito Aotsuki. Who could have seen this coming?
That alone gives meaning to all my plans and struggles.
I really did not want to have this guy up in first place. You know, the typical troublemaker rival Kodaka character who are always in first place on every list. You know, the type the average female streamer would fawn over and ship him with the protagonist.
Hello, Takumi. Good to see you again.
And he wasn't always in first place. I had Eva up here initially, but ultimately I can't deny that he's got the strongest presence among any of these characters. If there's one person that actively keeps me on my toes at all times, it's him. I would have fallen asleep to this game's plot multiple times without him.
The heads of all the remaining commanders. My gift to you. Ugh.
And that's reason enough as to why he's in first place. I was gonna leave him in A tier at first because I feel like he isn't quite as entertaining as Nagito or Kokichi. But no, I do think he's one of the more engaging video game characters I've ever come across. Kodaka should stop doing this, you know, with giving all the love and attention to a singular character in all of his games. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, why is Eito in first place, you ask? Was it because my jaw dropped when he double-crossed us? No, he was the only possible suspect. I mean, come on. Let's think about this. Discounting very specific routes, who would you say the main characters of this game are? Takumi, Hiruko, Nozomi, Eito. Hiruko pieced the fuck out. Nozomi was part of Group B. Takumi's the MC. And we don't know fuck all about Eito. Who else is it gonna be? And this is discounting the fact that he's got crazy Pope Bagel Man energy. But when I played the first day in 95 and he revealed himself, as obvious as it was and as generic as his typical anime villain nervous breakdown was, not gonna lie, I had trouble falling asleep that night. Look at this. Look at this crazy guy. Thank God there isn't room under my bed. And after that moment, I gotta say, for a good while, I used to tense up whenever he's on screen. But not too soon after, the guy became a walking meme. It's honestly funny whenever he talks now, because he always says the most deranged shit out loud with the biggest fucking smile on his face.
Say, Takumi, did you ever hear about a hospital that exploded and had a single child as its sole survivor? That was me. My first time killing other humans.
That's right. The reason I placed the Psycho Killer in first place is because he's comic relief. His best moment, too many to recount. His actions during Goodbye Eito route, for one, crushing his own eyes to deal with his disability, disabling serious bombs before he gets the chance to set them off, helping Takumi escape with Eva. Now, as for the serious stuff, at first we see Eito as the crazy one, which he is. But during the main route, I swear he's the only one making any kind of sense. I've been bringing this up all throughout this video, but again, the way most of our characters just insisted we should keep fighting even after learning that we were the bad guys here, it just rubbed me the wrong way. If there's one thing I agree with Eito on, it's how disgusting the selfishness of humanity really is. Seirei, basically the will of humanity itself, casually saying they'd genocide an entire planet just to have it all to themselves, and saying it without a hint of shame, like, yeah, what else are we supposed to do? Live peacefully with our neighbors? What are you, stupid? This way of thinking just absolutely disgusts me. And I'm Palestinian, by the way, so my own people have experienced that ugliness of humanity firsthand. This stuff gets to me. Obviously, though, with the way Eito is, he's not helping doing what he does. He's just part of the ugliness he hates so much. Maybe he's accepted that now and is now, in his mind at least, acting the way a human should. I'm not gonna do a deep dive on his character. I'll leave that to Weeby News. This video will go on forever otherwise. One final point is that even though I do think he is a great character, the game's plot fucks him over sometimes. By that, I mean he sometimes just turns around and decides to be a good person for some reason, which I don't much care for.
Until the very end, I loathed, despised, hated, and deeply loved you.
Why are you gay?
So yeah, screw you, Eito. I'm begrudgingly giving you your S tier. Anyway, thanks for the XP, fuckface. And we're done, kind of. I still got the ending tier list to make, so if you enjoyed and don't want to miss out on that, make sure you subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you.